This podcast contains adult themes, sexual content, and strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which this podcast is recorded and produced, the Jagera and Turrbal peoples, and the traditional owners of the lands wherever this podcast is being heard. We honour the long and rich history of storytelling on country and pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders, past and present. Sovereignty was never ceded.
Essentially, I just wanted to be a novelist, and that's all I ever wanted to do.
It was like well in the world of like conservative Christian romance.
I have never read Christian romance.
Count yourself blessed.
There's very few genres that I don't like, the only one being
Romance!
fiction.
Wait, who are we here for?
Are we on the right podcast?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, welcome to the Historical Romance Review. We are your hosts, Amy and Sarah, and this is the State of the Field.
On today's State of the Field episode, we are introducing the State of the Field.
Yay!
What? So cool. So what even is the State of the Field? This is a new sort of episode that we're introducing this year to the Historical Romance Review.
Historical Romance Review community.
Community to our listeners, and it's new to us. What is the State of the Field? I remember a couple months ago when we talked about starting this sort of style of episode, you told me about what the State of the Field is and what that means within your kind of niche area of expertise, I guess.
Yes.
And I had never heard of it before, and you explained it to me, and I was like, we have to do that.
We simply must.
We simply must. This is an original idea, and I love it so much. So
Yes.
Can you tell us, for all the listeners' benefit as well,
Yes.
and
so
remind me, what is this? What are we even doing?
we are borrowing the title of this new episode format and structure from something in academia and also probably in the art world, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
But basically, if you are in academia, there's a thing called a state of the field essay or article. And essentially, it's a big critical synthesis, a critical overview of the sort of current research, trends, debates, methods, approaches, whatever, within a specific academic discipline or a specific subfield. So it would be what is the state of the field in neuroscience?
Cool.
What is the state of the field in speech pathology? Or you can even get more specific than that of what is the state of the field in Australian, Southeast Queensland mothers groups, blah. You can basically
super narrow it down.
Yeah, you can define field, discipline, subdiscipline, however you like.
Cool.
It's not just something that is going to summarize it, it's going to analyze it.
Ooh, nice.
It gets in depth, it compares, it evaluates.
Compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast, yes, exactly. And in history, which is my discipline, it would usually be you would ask an expert in the field or someone that has read a lot of the works or whatever, and they would tell you who are the big dogs, who are the big names.
Yeah.
If you want to know anything about, Australian history, convict history, Aboriginal history, you have to read so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. They would identify the main peeps, the books that have been the most influential.
Yeah.
And then they would also analyze kind of generally, are there any weaknesses or gaps to the field? In 50 years of scholarship, have people, they've still got this thing wrong, or they still haven't made enough space for women, or the perspectives of Indigenous scholars, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's more than just a here's what everyone's saying. It's here's what everyone's saying, and also where I think that they do great things and maybe they could do better.
Yeah, cool.
And so just a bit more of an analytical overview.
Yes. So we're borrowing this concept and we're pulling it into our little podcast.
Yes.
About romance reading and the romance world in general. So we're kind of, stealing themes and ideas from that concept to present the state of the field of romance.
Yeah, essentially a great way that I like to think of it is it's an industry, field, discipline, or genre vibe check.
Nice.
So we're checking the vibes. And so we frequently check the vibes of romance fiction when we do our regular episodes where we do a book review. But these state of the field ones are a way to basically give us a bit more time.
Yeah.
Because y'all know we love to yap.
Yappa, yappa, yappa.
Yappa, yappa, yappa. To basically cover big, broad questions or topics that might affect like the whole genre of romance fiction or that like everyone is talking about in the, you know, broader zeitgeist, or to go really deep and specific into something specific about romance fiction. So like I was trying to think of some examples of like one of the ones that I think comes up a lot, right, about romance fiction in general is like, why is it so popular?
Yes.
All of a sudden, seemingly.
Right.
When we know that it's always
been around in some form.
Yeah. Like, why now? What's going on? Something's happening.
Right.
And then maybe a more specific thing would be like, for me personally, is like, why is my favorite trope enemies to lovers? Is it because that's the one that's written the most? That was like the first one? Is it just a personal thing? Or it could be like, what are the strengths and weaknesses of enemies to lovers?
Yes.
What are the strengths and weaknesses of like tropes in general?
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm really looking forward to this kind of style of episode, the State of the Field episodes, because, like you say, it gives us more time to both dive deeply into a niche area and think broadly and talk broadly about romance that we kind of we touch on in our book review episodes, but sometimes we want to stick to, as best we can, stick to the one book that we're talking about. And obviously sometimes we reference other books and we talk about the tropes and all this kind of stuff. And so many times I've had to bite my tongue and not go as deep or talk as much as I wanted to about a particular topic that came up in one of the books. So maybe we'll be referencing the books, and it might even be like our State of the Field episodes are influenced by what we've just read and reviewed. But I'm really, really looking forward to just being able to talk more about my thoughts about the romance genre, just the whole thing.
The State of the Field. Yeah, and that also means that like we want you to be involved as well, because a lot of the time, like, we might get a bit carried away by a particular question or a particular topic. Sometimes that means that we skip out whole sections or scenes of the books that we're trying to review. Other times, maybe you think we don't go in depth enough on some of the questions or the issues or the ideas that the books raise for you. So we also want this to be something that it's not just going to be questions and topics that we're interested in. We want it to be questions, topics, tropes, thoughts that our listeners and our readers have also had as well. And maybe you've seen some chat about it on TikTok, on Instagram. Maybe you've talked about it in your book club with your partner or your friends. We would love to hear from you if you have questions, if you have something that you've been thinking about that you want us to talk about, get our perspective. Like, send us a message, send us a voice note. And I think one thing that we're both really excited about for this episode format is that it gives us the opportunity to not just be you and I talking.
Yes.
But we have schemes to try and interview some people.
We have plans. Nefarious plans. No, very, very, very exciting plans to bring on some listeners and some other romance experts.
Yeah, some guest stars, basically. Because, as one thing I can say definitively about the State of the Field is that romance is hot right now. And a lot of people I know read romance fiction. But if there's something else I really know about the State of the Field is like, man, is it diverse.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many different subgenres and like little micro tropes I've even learnt about on this journey. So, there's a diversity of opinions and perspectives out there, and we want to talk about them as much as we can. But I guess the other thing about the State of the Field, how it works in academia, is like you don't just like write one of these articles. Right. Like you don't just do it.
Yes. How could people trust what the person is saying about the State of the Field?
Yeah,
if it's just some rando.
The way that it happens, in my discipline in history, is that like the editors of a journal or the editors of maybe a collection, if they're putting together a book, would like contact you and be like, hello, hi, Professor Sarah, we know that you are just, you've got 25 years of experience in this area. You've written 3 books on the topic. Can you write us a State of the Field on environmental history, on this?
Perfect.
I'm going to give a shout out. I hope that she listens to this at some point because we love her. Professor Kate Fulliger of ACU. I once listened to her give this like incredible lecture that was sort of a shortened version of a State of the Field essay that she was writing on Cook studies. So basically the field and the literature and the scholarship around James Cook, Captain Cook, the kind of explorer that claimed Australia for the British. And it was so funny because she was like, that doesn't just include like scholarly historical work. It also includes like Peter Fitzsimon's, you know, Cook the Man kind of biography stuff, lots of like weird blokey military history. And so to do her due diligence, basically, she had to read like 50 books and then figure out how they all spoke to each other and all this kind of stuff. So shout out Kate, what a legend, what a service.
That's incredible.
She did all the reading so that we didn't have to, bless. But yeah, you're usually like, you are
top of the field,
the expert. Like she is the person to talk to about that kind of thing. An expert in Pacific studies, in global Indigenous histories, like she's just amazing. So I guess what also could be helpful for our listeners today is like, what's our expertise?
Why are we the ones that get to talk about this?
What are our credentials? So we often introduce ourselves as an avid romance reader and a reluctantly romantic historian.
Yeah.
But I would actually call Sarah a romance expert.
Oh.
100%.
Thanks.
And I just based off the fact that you have read so much romance fiction. So, you know, she got the receipts. And also you have really interesting and important things to say about it.
Yeah.
But how would you describe what you think your credentials are, and maybe a little bit of your reading journey of how you kind of came to be the reader and the commentator that you are?
Right. Yes. Well, thank you for asking that. No, I feel like I'm like, radio, I'm the expert. So listen up, everybody.
Yeah. Class is in session.
Yes, I started reading romance and just books in general from a very, very young age. Probably more started with like fantasy, kind of children's books, which I just ate up. I loved it. And I started reading a lot of romance from like maybe like 12 or 13, like quite young, maybe too young for some of them. I have vivid memories of being like 14 years old and my mum would come home, or I'd come home from school and my mum had gone to the library and picked up like a Nicholas Sparks book for me.
Oh my God, Nicholas Sparks!
So I was reading Nicholas Sparks when I was really young. Like
this is like pre-contemporary romance era as well. Like nobody even remembers Nicholas Sparks anymore.
No.
But it was like him, Danielle Steele.
Oh my goodness, I have a game with a friend of mine, which is basically we send each other Danielle, whenever we see a Danielle Steele book, we take a photo of and we send it to each other. We're kind of competing to see who can find the most. You can see them in op shops everywhere.
Oh my, she's got like a million of them.
It'll be like 50 Danielle Steele books on the shelf in an op shop. But yes, it's that kind of era of romance books that was like, it was semi-popular. It wasn't like super well known, but I mean, Nicholas Sparks was still a big name. Dear John, you know, all the kind of, they became big movies.
Yeah.
Like
The Notebook, hello.
The Notebook.
What is it? Under
Nicholas
the Tuscan
Sparks.
Sun, I think is also him.
Yep.
That might have been the first
The
one
Lucky
to
One.
be a film.
There's so many.
The Last Song, I'm pretty sure is him. So, do we have Nicholas Sparks to thank for Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth and that whole saga? Probably.
Probably.
If he didn't write that fucking book.
Oh my gosh, so true.
Damn. Is this like a Muppets Twin Towers moment?
This is, oh my gosh. And if anyone asks, I can recite that conspiracy theory from memory. Like I know that one so well. Anyway, so I was reading Nicholas Sparks a lot in my teen years. And then also I was reading so much Christian romance.
Ooh.
If you know, you know. It was insane. Francine Rivers. Redeeming Love, I thought it was my favorite book. And then I grew up and read some critiques of it. And it's actually really highly problematic and I haven't read it since. But I was like obsessed with it and a bunch of other Francine Rivers books. Look her up. Anyway, it was like well in the world of like conservative Christian romance.
I have never read Christian romance.
Count yourself blessed.
But I mean, we have all read, I'm including all of us, we have all read Twilight, which is like Mormon romance.
That's Mormon,
basically.
yes. Yeah, so true. But these, Francine Rivers wrote with like explicitly Christian themes.
Yeah,
like it was, But that's kind of what I was reading in high school, was lots of like the more tame kind of romances, I guess.
I'm guessing lots of closed door, lots of just like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, would they even kiss before they got married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them.
A little bit chaste kissing, very chaste.
Very chaste. And it was, weirdly enough, it wasn't like teen romances either. They were mostly like adult romances.
But because teenagers don't have desire. No, that's not allowed.
No,
sorry.
Definitely not. Like,
sorry that you had to find out this way. But
yeah, you turn 18 and then you're allowed. Like, sorry
it's just
about
like
that.
the flicking of a switch.
Yeah.
Kind of like on your wedding night as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's highly problematic
stuff.
stuff.
I don't even need to read it.
You don't need to read it. You already know.
I already know the message.
That is kind of what I was seeped in, and it's highly problematic, and I'm still healing and unlearning a lot of that. But basically, yes, I that was kind of where I was coming from, but in the world of romance, but in a very specific kind of niche. And then went to uni, and in my first 3 years of uni, I kind of branched out and I started reading pretty much only historical fiction, like lots and 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 lots of it. I was reading so much. Like I would remember getting off the bus and just like sitting in my car ready to drive home, just like reading and not wanting to go home because I'm just like, I just want to read before I go home.
Yeah.
I was doing like this, but
You
I was reading
are
on my phone.
like such a fast reader as well. Like you can get through books really quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so I spent a good 3 years just in the romance world, but in the historical fiction kind of realm. And then towards the end of those 3 years of uni before I then started my another 4 years of uni, I kind of found my way into the contemporary romance, which had started picking up because I finished my first 3 years of uni in 2019. So it was like the TikTok world was starting to pick up. I
just had like a
realization
of how old I am. My God. Yep. No, I'm just recalibrating. Yep.
I was 20 in 2019.
Oh, sweet angel. Fabulous. Excellent. Love it. I love you so much. Yes, that is the perfect time.
It is the perfect time.
Like late stage uni, second degree.
Contemporary romance was starting to pick up.
It's getting a sniff in.
Yeah. And then from there, I just kind of, my world opened up, and I've just been nonstop reading contemporary romance, romantasy. I started my romantasy journey because of you. You were the one that, when you came into my life, literally only a couple of weeks after we met, you were like, wait, you haven't read ACOTAR? That's crazy. Anyway, so I read ACOTAR, and now I read lots of romantasy, and I read mostly contemporary romance now, and I've just gotten back into historical romance, which is, it's so nice actually being back in a genre or a subgenre that I really, really love. So I feel as though I've read pretty widely within the genre and for many years, and I kind of having, even though I was only born at the very end of the 20th century, I feel as though I have a fairly good understanding of kind of the direction that romance has taken in the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of grew up with it.
So that's the credentials.
There you go.
And
that's why I'm the expert.
It's a really interesting like timeline in your personal journey of like, where your reading tastes sort of maturing and like evolving through different subgenres right then to position you at the peak of this like contemporary romance resurgence, basically, where these days, and we frequently talk about this in our review episodes, the kind of like romance in those Christian romances you mentioned, they would just be like laughed off the page.
Oh
like
my goodness,
it's just like things have gotten kind of so extreme and so more explicit and more developed. So it's really interesting that you again can come to this as someone that has seen the genre literally developing across all that and keep raising the stakes, raising the bar, and having to do new things, I guess, to sort of like, I don't know, shock people, get people in, offer them something different.
Yeah, that's me. That's kind of where I come from and why I'm able to be the avid romance reader expert.
Yeah.
But how about you, reluctantly romantic historian?
Reluctantly romantic historian. Yeah.
What are your credentials for being reluctantly romantic? No, I'm kidding.
Yes. I mean, the historian part is fairly self-explanatory in that I work as an academic historian at a university. That is my day job. That's what I get paid to do.
Hell yeah. She's actually Dr. Amy Way, everyone. Give her kudos.
Yeah. So like,
the respect she deserves.
Address me properly. Thank you very much. No, shout out to my parents who, like, every time they send me anything to post, address it every time to Dr. Amy Way. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so I have a PhD in history, so I totally get the multiple years at uni thing. It is a bit of an addiction once you get into it. But yeah, like you, I started reading at a really young age. I feel like the first chapter books and like novels that I can remember really loving in primary school kind of always had maybe what we would consider a fantasy element, like a little bit of like regular kids that end up in some slightly, nonsensical, magical realm, something happens, a little bit of adventure, that kind of stuff. And then in high school, my reading tastes really developed. And this is no surprise to anyone that has listened to our historical fiction sidebar episode. I'm a big Jane Austen fan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's my girl. I love her so much. There's sort of like two wolves inside me. One is the Regency classical literature girly. So half of high school me was exclusively reading classics. Every classic that you would find in that section in the bookshop. Love that, and primarily things like Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, Jane Eyre is probably like my favorite
Oh my
book.
gosh, yes.
And then things like Evelyn Waugh, like Brideshead Revisited. Who else am I thinking of here? Oh, Daphne du Maurier is a big favorite of mine. She's like the following like century, but like she is a bit of a classic. But yeah, classics, obsessed with them. And then the other side is fantasy, probably, because I read my first, I guess, like hardcore high fantasy in early high school, and it was Robin Hobb, who, there we are, that's the Robin Hobb shelf. Yeah, good old Rob Hobb, we love.
Beautiful.
And I just found the world so rich, the characters so interesting, and yes, there was magic, yes, there was politics, but the main thing that really drove me and what I'm always drawn to in stories is characters. And the main thing that drives my interest is the relationships between the characters. And I feel like she just nails that. So yeah, I've been almost alternating those like fantasy classics for most of high school. When I went to uni, I studied English literature and creative writing alongside history.
Yeah.
And so I read quite widely a lot of different things there. I studied screenwriting, poetry, like all that kind of stuff. Essentially, I just wanted to be a novelist, and that's all I ever wanted to do. I kept studying history because I loved history, and history is just another form of storytelling.
Yeah.
And I sort of fell into doing history as a profession, I think for two reasons. One, because I was probably too scared to follow my actual dream of writing a novel.
Yep.
I wanted it so bad. I just, like, I love it so much that it was just, I never felt good enough to do it. And I just maybe felt like if I did it and was shit at it, I'd never recover.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit too scared to pursue it. Kept putting other things to like, if I can write a master's thesis, I can write a manuscript. If I can write a PhD, I can write a manuscript.
Yes.
I have all those things now, still haven't written a manuscript of a novel, lol. So I think I was a bit too scared to pursue being a full-time novelist. And also it's really hard because you have to just like work whatever shitty job to pay the rent. And the older you get, and as cost of living has gone up, that's been my trajectory over my life, is it's harder and harder to just sort of work a minimum wage job, pay your rent, and write your novels kind of on the side. So, you know, any of you creatives out there, you get it. Doing your creative thing on the side of trying to exist in this world is quite hard. So I was a bit afraid of that. And the second thing was I got to the end of my undergraduate degree and I genuinely was considering, do I want to do a master's of research in creative writing or in history? Because I knew I wanted to kind of come back and specialize. I took a year off, traveled, worked, but I knew I wanted to come back and study because I love studying so much. And I ended up choosing history because I had this awful experience in my final year of undergrad where a very senior female professor in creative writing at the university that I went to basically like publicly shamed me in front of the entire classroom of students for being poor.
Oh my God.
And essentially told me not to tell people where I grew up and where I was from because it like made me sound poor. And it just made her think of like high unemployment and low socioeconomic.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was fucked. Like to the extent that like randoms who I never spoke to in that class like came up to me afterwards and were like, "Are you okay?"
Holy shit.
Anyway.
Oh my God, Amy.
She's so funny. I saw her she was in the academic procession on my graduation day from my bachelor's and from my master's.
Shit.
And when I was studying my PhD, I used to see her on the street walking her dog because we lived in the same suburb in Sydney. Yeah. And sometimes she looked at me like she remembered me maybe, but it didn't really matter because I remembered her.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't you hate it when it's like, that was the worst day of your life and the person that did it to you doesn't even remember. It wasn't, it isn't even a blip for them. Like, ugh.
I had fantasies for a long time of like becoming a famous author and then like on, you know, Oprah or something, like some chat show being like, and shout out to like, you know, insert name here.
Yes.
Me.
Yeah, literally. For those of you who are just listening.
Yeah.
Not on the audio, on the video.
The birds.
Yeah, the bird.
Yeah.
But like, or even like you could put it like a
a dedication.
A dedication.
At the book, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
to
what
you.
up?
Fuck you, man.
Fuck you, yeah. I did the thing.
Look at me now.
Yeah, because she basically called me out for being poor. Like I had any control over that at 18. However old I was. And she was like, don't say that because that's like, you sound poor. Don't tell anyone where you're from because it makes me think that you're poor. And then she was like, you know, you say you have all these dreams, but what are you actually doing to achieve them?
Oof.
And it was like, cool, apparently like commuting for 3 hours a day to sit in the front row of your classroom and
pay
maintain a
attention
perfect GPA is like not enough.
Not enough, apparently.
Not when
Great,
you're
thank
from
you
this
so much.
place and when you're poor.
Jeez.
Cool. So off the back of
course
that,
that didn't,
I
endear
was
you
like,
to going in and
yo,
continuing it.
I'm going to go hang out with all the historians who are totally dope and like the coolest people on the planet. So encouraging, so
Yes.
incredible. Shout out to all those people if they ever listen. You know who you are. Absolutely incredible. And it's sort of like, when did I graduate from, like, it's almost 10, 15 years later and like those people are still some of my closest mentors and like
Yeah.
just all around solid humans.
Yep.
And so it's like off the
So
back
dope.
of that, ended up doing a master's in history, which then naturally led to a PhD.
Yeah.
And then I was really lucky enough to then get a job in the industry. And so I've written a lot. No fiction has been published. A lot of my nonfiction, a lot of my
Yes.
academic work. Throughout all of that, I'm still an avid fiction reader.
Yeah.
Possibly more so even.
Yeah.
The more that I studied and the more academic writing that I was doing, the less nonfiction I read in my personal life because reading it started to feel like work
Yep.
to me. I'm quite a mood reader.
Yes.
So I will just read whatever I'm kind of vibing. So I'll go from like a fantasy to a romantasy to a contemporary fiction to like a Michael Crichton
Yeah.
or like a Stephen King.
Yep.
You know, then a crime, then back to a classics, and then a romantasy, and then, you know.
You kind of hop around the genres.
I really hop around. There's very few genres that I don't like, the only one being
Romance.
fiction. Enter Sarah and her life-saving friendship, and, you know, she is the only person that could get me to do this work and read these books. So I think I've read probably as much historical fiction as you.
Yeah.
Possibly less historical fiction, but a lot of fiction that is
Historical. Yes.
in the canon.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
Yeah. I
Like-
completely agree.
All those classics.
Yeah.
So I like to think that I've got a good spread over like the development of the novel, the key
Yes.
folks, the big things. But yeah, I am the reluctantly romantic historian
Yes.
in that regard for sure.
Yes. Hence the reason why we picked those titles for ourselves to
Yes.
introduce ourselves. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode of State of the Field. We just wanted to introduce it to you guys.
Yeah.
Tell you a little bit more about ourselves because, I mean, you probably got to know us a little bit over the 6 episodes that we've done so far
Yeah.
where we've been reviewing books. But fear not, we are not going to stop reviewing our books. We're going to be...
Certainly not.
No, that is
You
what we are
couldn't-
here for.
Couldn't stop even if you wanted us to.
You're like, guys, stop, this is too much. We don't want to hear from you.
Cease
We're like,
and desist.
la 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 la. We will
definitely
be
not.
continuing until our very last breath. But we will be still releasing those. You'll still get those. And then interspersed, we'll be releasing the State of the Fields. You'll get a book review episode and a State of the Field every month.
Yes. So you can still find us and contact us in the same place,
Yeah.
at Historical Romance Review on Instagram. And like we said, please send us your questions,
Yes.
your topics that you want us to discuss. DM us, voice note us, pester us for an interview.
Please,
We're very
we
keen.
want to have you guys on.
Yeah. And other than that, join us next time to discuss more of the State of the Field.
The Historical Romance Review is written, recorded and produced in Meanjin, Brisbane. All editing is done by Sarah Brain, original artwork by Caitlin Adams, original theme music composed by Johnny Barahona, who you can follow on Instagram at JohnnyNvivo, spelt JONNYENVIVO. Sound support is provided by Zach Costa, and recording equipment and guidance generously provided by John Ward. Thank you to everyone who continues to support this project with their expertise and enthusiasm. You can find all our episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.